What's up guys, this is Saiyan here coming at you with another Dragon Ball CCG deck profile, and as you can see, today we are looking at my Super Saiyan Goku updated deck profile. Let's jump right into it. Starting with turn 0 warriors, we have our Kiku here, very much a staple for many decks, really good stats, and this guy is going to make a lot of stuff happen in later turns of the game. One of the first bigger changes, we got 2 copies of Master Roshi. This is another 0 drop, I think very much a staple as well. Generally speaking, any 0 drop that has backup is really good if you end up not having any 0 drops in your opening hand, but you do end up charging one of these warriors from the top of your deck, then you can back up for it and now you have a 0 drop warrior. Not only that, but he can go from a 2-2 predominantly support warrior status to a 3-1 very much attacker by spending 1 generic chi. That's really good early game, and then late game he's still going to be very much useful as a support warrior. We kept the 3 copies of Old Kai, and naturally really important that we see this guy rather than trying to get cards back from our chi. We will just use them to pay for other card costs, and then Old Kai will recycle them back into the deck. We can then fish those cards out of the deck back into our hand with a couple of shenanigans. Moving on to turn 1, Kibido Kai is a godsend for this deck. Again, very good support warrior, but if we need a chump blocker, King Kai is a perfect target. Then even if he gets injured, his effect is valid. We can then send him to the chi, which will generate us +1 chi. Of course, that makes Super Saiyan 3 Goku grow, and also we can give a warrior +2/+0 until the end of turn. So very nice card, still absolutely 100% relevant, even though it's a set 1 release. 3 copies of Dr. Wheelo, absolutely essential for the deck. We use Plunder. We definitely like that idea of spinning the deck a little bit, discard a card, reveal top 2, one goes to your hand, other goes to your chi. And we even rely on the final valid effect where if Dr. Wheelo is the user of a tool technique, then you get to draw a card. So just really versatile. Basically, Wheelo is good in any deck, but particularly when you have the need for a turn 2 attacker, Wheelo is absolutely brilliant. And you don't really need to spend too much time trying to keep Wheelo in healthy status. If he gets injured, he gets injured. Doesn't matter. As long as you get to spin that attacker strategy at least once, you've already benefited from Wheelo coming into play. We do have 1 copy of Hercule. Hercule on his own is a very good support warrior, 0302, strong stats for a support warrior. Also the fact that you can return Hercule back into your hand and have a second deploy in that turn is absolutely brilliant. It can be really good late game, but what we predominantly use Hercule for is to fuse into Goku turn 4. Because Goku is sort of our mid-level Goku card. Very important that Goku has the name Goku, so he gets all the benefits from cards that have the Goku requirement and other things like that. Also, he's got Super Heal Fierce 2, which is amazing. And his effect is to, if you want to pay 1 during your strategy phase, you reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a warrior, Goku gets +X+0 equal to the turn cost of the warrior. If it's a technique, he gets +0/+X equals the turn cost of the technique. If you reveal an event, you can't send Goku out to attack that turn, but we only really run 2 events, and the chances of actually hitting that event are relatively small, even though it is definitely possible. So Goku is a really important card in the deck. We ideally want to see Goku, and we do want to see Hercule if we can. If we can fish Hercule out of the deck to be able to go to Goku, that's great. If we can keep the Kiku around until turn 6, that is also absolutely the way to get into SS3. We have 2 copies of the set 3 Tien. Absolutely love this card. Generally speaking, all the TN warriors have great stats, and this is also a TN card with great stats. 4203 for a turn 3 drop is great, and he nets you a chi from your discard pile. Any card can be put back into your chi, and again, that works really well for SS3 Goku, and just generally speaking, also returning something to your chi can be useful if it's like a warrior with backup or something. Turn 4, we have 3 copies of Kibido Kai. Absolutely love this card. Really, really nice support warrior. Has the backup, so additional copies you can still back up into your hand and then discard them to put a growth coin onto one of your warriors. I sometimes actually put the growth coin on Kibido itself. It can be often wasted on the SS3 Goku because you're probably going to have a lot of chi that pumps SS3 anyway, but putting the growth coin on Kibido or one of the upcoming warriors is always well worth it. It's never really a deck card in your hand, even if often it becomes like a really late play warrior drop. It's not always the set 4 drop, turn 4 drop. We do have 2 copies of the Super Saiyan Vegeta from set 5. Again, I like the fact that we have sort of a safety valve, a backup, in case we end up taking too much damage and both SS3 Gokus go to your planet damage, then we can hit the safety valve and say, you know what, yeah, we're gonna go to Gogeta. This is absolutely just a backup. The deck is still very much built around maximizing SS3 Goku's effects as much as possible, but having that safety valve to say, okay, I have a Goku, I can play Vegeta. I know I don't have the SS3 Gokus in my deck anymore, or just having the turn 0 Goku down, you can still go to Gogeta with those 2. And of course, Gogeta doesn't need any introductions. Definitely one of the strongest warriors in the entire game. Besides that, Vegeta's strategy effect to allow you to dig the top 3 for a technique you can use can be also beneficial. Most of the techniques he can use, there's one that he can not. We're going to go through that in a second. And then finally, we got 2 copies of 18. Again, 18 has brilliant stats, but we predominantly run her for that 4 support value and the fact that she can protect Super Saiyan 3 Goku. So in ideal scenarios, you get SS3 Goku out, you get 18 out, and the 2 of them will be in a team together. That's already a strong team of 11, but let me tell you, Goku's never going to be a 7 power. He's always going to be at least a power of 10, probably even more. Besides that, 18 has backup and pretty much allowing us to play both of our basically to play our Goku without really having to fear about it getting taken out, because both of her effects are really useful. Either make sure that all warriors in her team cannot be affected by her opponent's warriors' effects, or counter a technique, so they're both really useful. She also has backup, so yeah, just really good all in all. And of course, the main character, the main warrior, the reason why we run this deck as we run it, is for Super Saiyan 3 Goku. It's a very expensive warrior, costs 3 super, turn cost of 7, but what you get for it is definitely worth it. First of all, we get absolutely brilliant stats, 7362. Both effects are valid. Super hit is also valid. Thresh is also valid, so everything is valid on SS3, and you don't really lose much, even if he does get injured. First of all, he cannot be sent out to battle with a team with 3 or more warriors. So realistically, you can only have Goku and 1 backup warrior behind him. And as I said, that's most likely, if ideally you get 18 out, that would be the most likely scenario to see these 2 in a team together. The second effect is what really matters here. He gets plus X plus 0 for X being the amount of cards in your chi area. Now, just to give you an idea of the power of this, in one of my plays, I actually managed to have Goku on his own, being an 18 power warrior. So he actually didn't even have anybody else in his team. He was just going out on his own, swinging for 18. That is ridiculous. Now, if you do get 18 with the power of 18, you obviously get a team of 22. And technically speaking, it will be very difficult to deal with anything like that. But we can actually chi Goku out a little bit cheaper, a little bit earlier. We're going to have a look at that in a second. But first, as I said, the two effects that we run, we do have 2 copies of Z Warriors Gather, or if you're living in the UK, then Z Warriors Gather. Just an absolutely fitting event. What we do with this card, we play the event, we discard a card from our hand to search for either the SS3 Goku or the Hercule. More often than not, these are our 2 main targets. And then you can immediately use the second effect on the card strategy action, move this card back to your chi area, and then your event cards cannot be targeted or affected by your opponent's effects this turn. It doesn't matter for us what that second effect does. It just means that basically for the fee of discarding 1 card, we can search our deck for a warrior that shares the chi color with it. This is amazing because it does get us whatever warrior we want from the deck. And usually, as I said, that will be SS3 Goku or sometimes Hercule. So in order for us to be able to cheat out SS3 Goku, we either need Goku, in ideal scenario we need Goku, or the turn 0 Goku to be in play, apologies. And what we do is either Kiku or Goku will use Awakened by the Anger, ideally when your turn count is turn 6 and you're defending during your opponent's turn. You play this Awakened by the Anger and you swap Goku or Goku with the SS3 Goku from your hand. Now, in case of Goku, he leaves the game, obviously being a fusion warrior. If you do this off the little Kid Goku, then at least you get a card back in your hand. But as you can see, you can basically get SS3 out of turn early because it's turn 6. And it will only cost you 2 chi, not having to spend the 3 Super Saiyan 3 chi. And the added benefit is that you can put that warrior into any of your teams in any position, meaning that you can actually have Goku put into a team of 2 other warriors, and you can actually defend with Goku with a massive team. You may have played 18 during that turn. You may already have a Kibido Kai out, so that's support of 8, and then you drop Goku there with a minimum of 7. This is going to go to your chi, so he's immediately going to be an 8, so that will give you a team power of 16. You can also use this when you're the attacker, after you've organized teams, and then you can go ahead and attack with the massive Goku during your opponent turn. You can still defend with that massive team, and only during your next organization phase will you have to reduce the team, whoever Goku's with, to a team of 2 Goku plus 1 other warrior. So Awakened by the Anger is the real tech in this deck. Get the Goku out, so you get a very solid Goku with a turn cost of 4. Remember, the user here must be Goku with a turn cost of 4 or less, so any one of these 2 are great candidates for that. And then you just drop that SS3, cheap, turn early, and probably OV your opponent if he's defending. A bit of a shame that Thrash only works when you're the attacker, but still, it's an absolutely brilliant little combo there. Moving on, we have 3 copies of Kamehameha, and you might be thinking, well, this is a really expensive technique. Is it really worth it when we're trying to keep Goku powered up with the cards in our chi? Yes, we do, but also bear in mind that if you have Goku down, you have a turn 4 Goku. So that means you can actually deal 2 damage to whoever you target with Goku. There's not many warriors that have toughness and are turn 4 or lower. There's a few. There's a very few amount of them. So you pretty much are going to be able to just straight up remove one of your opponent's warriors from the game by sending a Kamehameha out with Goku. And then again, if you do it with Goku, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, then that's pretty much going to eradicate any and every warrior. Mind you, most of the top end warriors do have toughness, but even if you do manage to injure them and then you still manage to win that game, then you're still gonna get rid of those warriors. So Kamehameha is absolutely a 3 of. Definitely must be in the deck. Moving on, let's look at some more of our useful techniques. Of course, we need to have some form of event removal. We have 3 copies of Katana Slice. It is also a tool technique, so when Wheelos the user, you get to draw a card. And very importantly, it is also going to dish out a -2/-2 and negate the effect text and special abilities of the target warrior. It is almost as good as Burning Attack. The only difference being is that you have to use it with Wheelo to be able to draw the card, whereas Burning Attack gets the card draw if Trunks is the user. So they're pretty much on par with each other. Yeah, just great card. Absolutely love Katana Slice. It gives us a lot of protection. It's not a pump technique, but we're targeting our opponents. Unless our opponent has an effect that stops their warrior from being targeted, Katana Slice is going to shine. We then look at a single copy of Power Pole. Another tool technique. This is just a nice little tech here. I wanted one more tool technique just to be able to draw one more card, and then I thought, hey, why not draw 2 cards? Power Pole in itself, it will draw you a card at the end of your turn. The only caveat is that you can only use Power Pole when you're defending. But I don't really think that is a big problem if I can actually beat my opponent's team whilst they're attacking. I'm getting even more advantage. So yeah, Power Pole is really good. It can be a great surprise, particularly when you send out Wheelo to defend with. He's a 4/2, maybe has an old guy behind him, has a team power of 6, but then you drop the Power Pole, goes up to an 8. You draw a card, and then at the end of the turn, you draw another card. So now you actually benefited. You netted 1 card. Great stuff. Love it. And then the 2 energy shield cards are in there to protect our investment, predominantly to protect SS3 Goku or Gokul. It's really not a big investment. It's 2 chi. It can either come from Super or Earth, which is pretty much all the cards in our deck, with the exception of the Kais that we're playing with. And it just makes your team bulletproof. They cannot be targeted by your opponent's effects and reduce all damage given to the team to the user to 0 until the end of the turn. So if your opponent would do something nasty, you just slap this and you're good. The only thing I believe it's not going to work against is Super Dragon Fist. But ideally you win the game by the time your opponent will get a chance to Super Dragon Fist. So that's it. And then the final one, of course, because we are looking at a very competitive deck, we have a copy of Dignity of the Conqueror. This, of course, ideally is in any deck possible. I still stand by what I say pretty much every video, that you don't need the OTC in every deck. But if you can make the space, it's definitely worthwhile to have it in the deck. In this particular deck, it's absolutely imperative. You can completely OV a team. If you attack with just the one Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and let's say it's got a power of 15, your opponent's defending with a 15 as well, but you take their lead warrior out, you're probably going to get an OV now. You also hit him with a trash one. So it's just absolutely good. It's really good offensive. It's really good defensively as well. I've actually used the OTC in the past by chaining it onto my opponent's self-destruction and actually picked the warrior back into the deployment phase, so it wasn't destroyed. So yeah, DOTC, really versatile card, really cool card. Must be in the deck if you can have it. So we talked about our fusion deck. Realistically, we just need a Goku and Gogeta. You could run the Vegito, of course, but Vegito is quite a unique card in the sense that unless your opponent's like playing a very technique-heavy deck, I would say you're still probably better off fusing into Gogeta. And then looking at our Wish deck, we have one Revival of the Earth. That's just against the Bojack, the Fierce decks. We have Upa's Wish to be able to get SS3 Goku into play from our discard, or a Sense of Hero to be able to search our deck for an SS3 Goku. And Existence of Hero can also be very good. It works as a third copy of Z Warrior's Gather. Just to have a quick flick through your deck, and if you don't see that SS3 Goku, but you do have the Vegeta, fuse into Gogeta, and problems solved. Gogeta is absolutely going to kill anything on the field if you have a Kamehameha in your hand, and it searches for 3 damage. That's even going to get through toughness. That's the whole toughness, reduces damage taken by 1. So yeah, you have a lot of backup systems in the deck to give you a little bit less reliance on SS3 Goku, but generally speaking, he's still very much the main thing. I mean, who doesn't want to play with a warrior that has a team power on his own that is anywhere around 18, 20? If you can have 13 chi in your chi area, which is not impossible, I've done it, then you're laughing. You're probably gonna have one of the best games in Dragon Ball CCG. So I hope you enjoyed this deck profile, guys. Just to close off the video with, let's just put these 2 beautiful golden warriors out here again, and I hope you've enjoyed this. Please leave a comment below what you think of the deck. How would perhaps you run this deck? You could also leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and please subscribe, please share with your friends. Up until next time, Saiyan signing out. Peace.